So in Matthew 17, the Transfiguration on the Mount, Yeshua revealed himself in his purest form, in his godlike form, to his three closest disciples. So in Matthew 17, the Transfiguration on the Mount, Yeshua revealed himself in his purest form, in his godlike form, to his three closest disciples. And it is believed that when Moses and Elijah appeared to be talking with him, that time had overlapped. And all their occasions from the Old Testament, when Moses went up the mountain to receive the commandments, and when Elijah went up and heard the still small voice of God, that they were actually talking to Yeshua at the present moment in Matthew 17. Now, this is a very beautiful and interesting interpretation of the text, and I got it from Wes Huff, as he has exploded since the Billy Carson debate. And I've seen a lot of people, after I've went through a lot of Wes Huff's videos, I've seen a lot of people jump on these interpretations and not give him any credit. So he was the first person that I ever heard say that.
It's Yahweh who is able to call down bread from heaven in Exodus. It is Jesus who does it in Mark. Chapter 9, then you have the Transfiguration. Chapter 9, verses 2 to 5. Jesus takes Peter, James, and John up on a mountain, and then he appears in a blinding white. And Mark says that the white is whiter than any launderer would ever be able to bleach. And who is Jesus seen on the mountain with? It's Moses and Elijah. Now, there are only two people in the Hebrew Scriptures who climb up on a mountain to commune with God. Moses in Exodus 24, and Elijah in 1 Kings 19. What if when Moses and Elijah walked up on Mount Horeb, time collapsed, and when it says that they talked with Yahweh, they were actually talking with Jesus? There are only two people who climb up on a mountain to talk to God. Those happen to be the two people who climb up on a mountain and talk with Jesus in Mark 9 in the Transfiguration.
And then I started hearing many other people make videos about this, and it popped up on, Facebook and other places, TikTok.
Biblical scholars theorize the transfiguration of Jesus also happened at the top of Mount Hermon.
Wow,
Interesting.
cool.
So the theory is that on this mountaintop, God's appearance changed, but he was communicating with Moses and Elijah. How cool would that be if in that moment they were outside the realm of time? And so when Moses was on top of Mount Sinai and Elijah was on top of Mount Carmel, God was directly speaking to them at that moment in the present. But in Moses' time, it would be that present as well. And in Elijah's time, it would be that present.
So wild.
And that's why they knew and had full confidence of the coming of the Messiah, because they directly spoke with Jesus on this mountaintop. Even the disciples that were witnessing this, they saw like, this is the Son of God, this is God.
Yes.
And he's literally talking to Moses and Elijah right now.
Here it is. He says, as the men were parting from him, Peter said to Jesus, Master, it's not good that we're here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, Moses, and for Elijah. Not knowing what he said, as he was saying these things, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud saying, this is my son, my chosen one.
But they never give him any credit for it. And so I do give credit to Wes Huff for this interpretation. I think it's a beautiful interpretation. I think it's a powerful interpretation, and probably a proper interpretation of what exactly was happening at that moment on the Transfiguration on the Mount. I think it properly renders that Yeshua was the Yahweh from the Old Testament, as he says himself that no one has ever heard or seen the Father. And so the Yahweh that we see in the Old Testament was in fact the Son of God the whole time, as he's always done things in his Father's name. So up until that point, at his baptism, when the Father finally speaks, that no one has currently heard from the Father. And so it's just very interesting. It fits well with that interpretation, and I truly believe that. And Brother Zadok, the God Hop MC, has done a video called Fully God, Fully Man on YouTube, where he extensively goes through this and explains it very well for those that really want to know what I'm talking about, but also that may even oppose what I just suggested. And so I don't believe that Yeshua is the Father. I do believe that he is the Son of the Father, and that there are two Elohims, two beings, as Elohim is plural, and it's a class. Even the Shadim, the demons, are considered Elohim in Deuteronomy 32:8. So going back to how Michael Heiser and his theology around that, I think that explains it very well. But I do believe that Yeshua was the Yahweh in the Old Testament, but that he is also distinct from the Father, and he is subordinate to the Father, as he says he is in the New Testament, and many other things. So, a special thanks to Wes Huff after the Billy Carson debate, as much of his content is amazing, and I wouldn't have found him if it wasn't for that debate. So, thanks to Wes Huff, and it's always good to give credit to those who revealed it. So I hope you enjoyed that short interpretation, and until next time, shalom.